we have a community of practice that is starting to grow. We use a tool called Slack. It's free to join. You can get to this by clicking on a link that is available from the website that I've just shared, the British Council CPDB America's website. There you'll also find links to the reports we've mentioned and other things. Now, I'm going to be talking about moving your teaching online, where you can find CPD to help. I'll briefly mention some of the things that I've come across that I think are very interesting for us to know about. All of these links that I'll be sharing in our Slack community. So you can go there, and later I'll put all of the links in there, plus a link to this presentation if you want it. What I am hoping we can do is also have a little bit of a discussion about this. So if anyone would like to take the microphone when I've finished sharing my thoughts about this, or share information in the chat box, comments, questions, etc., that would be really useful, I think. So let me start by looking at one of the first sites that I found that is particularly interesting. So UNESCO have a blog post, a response to the crisis that we found in. They track the number of schools that are closed across the world, and it's in as many as 124 countries now, which is staggering. I don't think any time in our history has something like this ever happened that has been so widespread. They also have an education response task force to support schools that have to close for whatever amount of time that needs to be. And they're sharing information about what schools can do to help the students while they're closed, if they want to move teaching and learning online, how to do that, etc. And this is across the board, so all different subjects, all different levels of basic education, I think. So that is the first place that I would start. If you work in a school and find that you as a teacher have to move learning online, support your students while they're at home, or support your teachers in doing this, etc., that's a good place to start. For those of you who are language teachers, we all know, the language teachers among us, that we have particular needs which are different from subject teachers. And related to that, one of the language consultants that is very active in the UK has put together a dynamic document which is changing all the time as he comes across links and information to help language teachers address this learning and teaching online. And that is a document that looks at all sorts of different things, including live online or remote teaching, and also supporting learning through the use of video and other tools. So that's the second thing that I would say take a look at if you're a language teacher. Coming back to schools in general, one of the things I think is important is, in this age of moving things online, is a lot of people are trying to do it quite quickly. And the way that, one of the problems with that is that the way that you teach online isn't necessarily the way that you teach face-to-face. And so there are lots of things that are similar, but there are things which are different, and it is very important to take those into account. You can't just try and teach the way you teach face-to-face in an online setting. To address that, if you have time, or if your teachers have time, then I'd recommend doing a short course, and now is a very good time to do it. So we have a general course for anyone, any subject teachers, etc., who would like to provide continuity to students. A very good course which I've been checking out, which is provided by FutureLearn. It's free. and it's just started. And the other advantage of taking a course such as this is because you'll find yourself in a community of teachers and school leaders, educators, etc., who are in the same boat. So you can share experiences and other links. So apart from the course, in each of the modules of this course, there is a lot of chat going on, a lot of sharing of ideas, a lot of connections with other people around the world who are doing the same thing. So that's a good place to do it. If you're a language teacher, there are other courses. There's one by an organization called NILE, which is very reputable language teacher training organization based in Norwich in the UK. And that has a short course specifically for language teachers who want to teach online as well. So that's another good thing to do. It shouldn't take a lot of time for you to follow that course. Then again, for language teachers, the British Council's Teaching English website has a series of free webinars that are happening now, and they're being recorded. So you can go to find out various different aspects of addressing online teaching and learning. Macmillan also have a similar set of webinars. And if you're a language organization, English UK has a number of webinars specifically about the management and the organizational difficulties and support that is required for teaching and moving your teaching and learning online. Then don't fear if the problem, as we all know, across the Americas, we have a problem where, not all students will have internet. What can you do in that case? Well, there are ways around it. Of course, there's very little online teaching you can do without internet. But if you have a situation where students do have an internet connection, but the connection is quite low, so they have low bandwidth, the connectivity is not as good as you need for video conferencing, and this is an interesting article to help you around that. It also talks a little bit about tools that can be done without an internet connection. So that's a good place for you to start if you find that your schools, your students don't have internet connectivity. And then it's also, this is just one example of some of the resources that a lot of organizations are making free these days because of this crisis. So there are lots and lots of this. So Zoom, the tool we're using now, for example, for schools, it is now free of charge with unlimited access. If you can register and prove that you're a teacher of a school or a school who wants to use this tool, then you can do that. There's another resource for any of you out there teaching STEM, which is Twig Education, which is an award-winning website which specializes in STEM subjects. They've made all their platform and resources free during this crisis as well. And that, without spending a lot of time on it, because there are so many resources, etc., available, is all I'd like to say. I'm going to stop here and move it over to the chat again. If anybody would like to pick up the microphone and talk about any other things that you might know, any other links, you can share them with us, etc. Gabriella is mentioning WhatsApp, and I think this is truly a time when a lot of these tools really come into their own. I know from experience of being in touch with people that WhatsApp is a vital tool now for being in touch with individuals and groups of people. It's very easy to use. It's also something in the remote online teaching that we do in Uruguay in the British Council. WhatsApp is used for remote teachers to have a channel open with classroom teachers to be able to organize lessons, etc. It's vital.
Yeah, well, on my side of things, I have really nothing else to add to the resources that you're sharing with us, Graham. I do think that effectively, these are times in which a lot of resources are being opened. I mean, that research that you did is quite helpful, and I think even at a local level, our colleagues will probably have already started, at least within the British Council, but also encouraging all of those who are not British Council staff that are in this webinar to also browse through your local providers. There are certainly a lot of resources that are being made available. As a parent, I can say that more than one link has been shared with me in terms of content, in terms of materials and resources that we can, support our kids with. And certainly for teachers, it would be very interesting to make use of those online resources as well to complement whatever activities they have planned. There are a number of platforms as well that are, reaching out and making themselves more available so that a wider group of teachers and schools can use them, so that the experience of home learning is also more accessible for even the younger kids. So platforms that are more suitable for older and more suitable for younger kids are also making appearances and becoming more widespread known. I think from the British Council perspective, I think we are still in the midst also exploring what kind of offers we can have in place, what kind of aside from what you were sharing with us, Graham, in terms of English and the platform that we have for teaching English. For other subjects, we are exploring with our global teams and other regions, how can we also become more in tune with what is needed right now from participants in our projects and our traditional audiences, such as teachers and school leaders. So I guess we will be talking about that in the near future, and certainly through our community of practice, we can share everything that we get our hands on internally, so that we can share with all of you here in this group.
Yeah, I think so. One of the things I think has come up in the conversations I've had with people is that after the initial panic of how can I do this, what can I use, what platform can I use, where do I start, etc. When people start looking at these the ways of doing that, it can be overwhelming, because there seems to be so much now available. Suddenly, it's all become available. It's all being shared. There are webinars to take, courses to take, resources to look at, links, etc. And I think some good advice that I heard was, really start small. Don't feel like you have to try everything. Choose something based on your context, and preferably choose something that is already familiar. So if you already use a platform at your school, then see if you can use that and adapt it in some way to support the students if the schools are closed. If not, then start with what you've just said. Start with what the students know. So maybe there's already a communication channel open with the parents through email, through WhatsApp, through something. Start there. Look at the tools. Choose one that is right. You do have to keep in mind child protection, of course. Is this something that is child friendly? Is it something that can be monitored, etc.? You don't want to sort of give up those controls, I think, just because we moved online, and move on from there. And if don't feel that you have to stick with something, I think these are difficult times. If you try something and it doesn't work, try something else. I think these are all good pieces of advice for me.
Yeah, I think what I would add to what you're saying, Graham, is everybody's learning. This is a learning curve, and it's important not to be shy of trying things out. And surely, with also parents will have a lot to say about how the experience is being felt on the other side, on the receiving end of the children at home, and trying to go through this new experience that hopefully can be for them something very new and innovative and exciting. So yes, I think I completely agree with you. Start with something that is known, and then surely but slowly try to shift into things that perhaps are more purpose made or have a better interface and allow you to connect better with your students.
And I think Adriana de los Santos in Uruguay has joined us on the microphone. Adriana, hello again. How are you? Did you want
Hi,
to say
Graham.
anything about this?
Yeah, I have very little experience with remote teaching, Graham, but in these days I've developed some. So now I just wanted to pick up 2 points that Catalina and Albesa raised in the chat. The first point was about developing as a professional in the direction of others. I think that in these days it's a proof that everybody develops in a different way. Everybody knows different things. So I think it's important for school leaders. I've been in touch with 1,000 school leaders in the last 2 weeks, and there has to be accreditation for the teachers for what they're doing, because everybody's working 1,000 hours. So I think that we have to develop some sort of indicators, even if they are very homemade, and if we haven't tested them with other people or with other members of the community. In all the schools, we need to come up with something and be able to follow up on what the teachers are doing. People are working a lot with all the massive information that we have. So I think there's room for development there for school leaders. I think also that what Willy presented at the beginning and what he said in relation to the framework that the British Council has developed, it's very, very good. I shared the framework with a team of colleagues in Colonial Sacramento recently, in a camp for leaders that was organized by the National Administration of Education in Uruguay. And we kept on talking during the breaks afterwards, because it's a very good compilation of skills and a way of working. So I would go along those lines. And I just wanted to pick up those points. It's important that we as school leaders, we develop tools to help the teachers be present, be with them, and provide accreditation for it. Because if not, everything is lost. Everybody's saying, oh, everybody's clapping and saying, oh, how brilliant teachers are, what a great contribution they're doing, etc. But yes, then they will need to show that they've done it. And I think that's important. And last, Graham, and not least, child protection. I've been insisting on this in all the meetings I've attended. It doesn't seem to be very popular to raise the flag of child protection in many ways, because most of the platforms that are available for free use do not have the child protection facilities and tools that are needed to be safe. So in this regard, I would work together with the teachers, provide induction, tell them what they have to be aware of, and also with other school leaders. I think this is a good point for reflection and discussion and information, yes. And I think that the British Council is in a great position to do that everywhere. So thank you and sorry for spending too much time.
No, thank you very much, Adriana, for sharing your thoughts with us and your advice. Some very, very interesting things there and very good words of wisdom for everybody. So really appreciate it. Is there anyone else who would like to say something? We can give you the microphone. I think Kadian has asked. Let me give you the microphone. Kadian.
Hi, good afternoon, colleagues. In this new normal, as I've termed it, there is one other aspect that we haven't thought about, and that's information and data security. Because we have to share so much content online, and we're asking persons to share online. How do we then manage information that is passed through this new system? What are the guidelines? I think those are some of the questions that I have. What are the guidelines for that? In ensuring that we're keeping in line with our policies, but also we're reaching the audiences that we need to reach.
Some very good points. I think, yeah, I think these are all very important, but I think one thing for me is that we need to keep them in mind, but we can't let them disable us. In other words, we can't let this stop us from being able to react in an emergency. That said, they do need to be put into place as well. You know, just as there need to be guidelines for child protection, we can't lower that barrier. The same with information management, the same with quality, really. There's no reason why moving online should imply lower quality. I think these are all things that need to be taken into account, and they can all be lost in the rush to move learning and teaching online. And I think we do need to keep that in mind. However, it shouldn't paralyze us. You know, it shouldn't be something that stops us from doing it, stops us from reacting in an agile way to the situation, to the crisis. So it's a balance, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, Graham. I have not a lot to add, but it is important. It is an important point. You know, information management definitely is an area that, at least for those of us here in this webinar that are British Council staff, we know that that's an important area that we need to protect. But at the same time, you know, we need to think out of the box, as Graham says. You know, not feel that our policies are constraining us too much from what needs to be done in order to attend the reality of the world right now, you know, our own contexts. So yeah, just agree with being flexible, but at the same time mindful of what are those core elements that we need to protect, and which other aspects of the policy maybe can be reached in different ways, can be, you know, achieved in different ways, I guess. Yeah, I guess that would be my contribution at this stage.
Okay, so any last thoughts for everybody? I think we've got quite an active chat, which is really good. I think it's coming up to the end of the hour, and I know lots of you will have other meetings and other things that you need to do. So we'll end punctually. Just wanted to thank everybody. Thank you, Willy. Thank you, Kata, for joining me and presenting here. Thanks to all of you who've contributed either through voice or through in the chat. Thanks to all of you for your interest. What we would like to do is carry on the discussions in our community of practice on Slack. So if you go to that link that I put in the chat earlier and join us, we'll be sharing these resources and others there, and we would encourage you to do the same as you come across them. Let's see if we can help each other. That's why we have this community of practice. That's why the CPDB project exists. And we would like to build this community to share resources, links, knowledge, ideas, friendship, support, etc., with all of you and others. Please recommend it to your friends and colleagues. Come and join us, and let's carry on continuing to share in the ways that we've been doing today. So thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to end there. Any last thoughts, words, Catalina, Willy, before we finish?
No, thank you, Graham, for leading on this webinar, and for everybody that attended, for Willy for your presentation. I think it's been a wonderful experience, really. These webinars, we've learned a lot this year, and I think what you just said, you know, just creating this network for people to share, to learn is very important. So looking forward to the future of CPDB, and thank you all for coming. That's it from me.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I hope to carry this on to our community of practice and keep on discussing things like this. I think it's very good for all of us. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe.
Bye.